If I had only 24 hours to write my chapter 5, these are the 3 mistakes that I would avoid to make sure that my hard-earned data doesn't get dismissed as useless. As a published researcher and a peer reviewer, I've seen firsthand how brilliant research gets rejected in chapter 5 and what makes discussion truly stand out to supervisors. Today, I'm exposing the 3 critical mistakes that turns your groundbreaking findings into rejected chapter 5. These errors can make your supervisors think your research is useless, costing you time and confidence. But don't worry, by the end of this video, you would learn exactly how to craft a chapter 5 that not only avoids these pitfalls, but also elevates your research to an approved, impactful discussion. So let's dive in. Now, the first critical mistake in chapter 5 is restating your chapter 4. Your supervisor has already read your results and they do not need a recap. And if they do need a recap, they would go back to your chapter 4 and read it. What they want in your chapter 5 is for you to tell them what those data mean. Providing just a summary of your chapter 4 in chapter 5 is a missed opportunity for you to showcase your critical thinking and the true value of your research. You can avoid this in 4 steps, and the first one is go beyond the what. Now, what I mean by this is don't just report what was found. Don't say X was found. Ask more questions like, why did this happen? What does this mean in the context of your research? What are the importance of these findings to nursing practice or theory? What are the implications of these findings? Now, step 2 is to explain how and why. For example, if you found a correlation, you want to explain the reasons or the mechanisms behind that correlation. If there was a difference between 2 groups, you want to explore those factors that you think might have contributed to the difference. Now, step 3 is to synthesize. You don't want to list findings one by one. You want to try to put everything together. You want to try to connect your findings in order to provide a coherent picture. Now, step 4 is to use interpretive language. This is where you can use languages that this suggests, this implies, this means that, this is because, this is due to. If you're the type that likes having opinions, this is where you would shine. So long as your opinions are backed by data, is reasonable in the context of your research. Now, the second red flag is discussing your findings in isolation. Your research doesn't exist in a vacuum. A strong chapter 5 connects your results to the existing body of knowledge and theoretical frameworks that you reviewed or you wrote on in your chapter 2. Failing to do this makes your work seem disconnected and diminishes its academic contribution. Now, in order to avoid this mistake, you need to weave your findings into broader academic conversation by using this 4 steps. Now, step 1 is to compare and contrast. For each major findings, you want to compare it to a previous study. Does your data align, contradict, or add to what is already known? You want to explain why you think your findings converge or diverge from others. Now, step 2 is to link it to your theory. This is where you want to explain how your findings contribute to challenge or refine a theoretical framework that you introduced. Does your study provide empirical evidence for your theory, or does it suggest a modification? Now, it's not all studies that usually involve you linking your findings to a theoretical framework. If you did not introduce any theoretical framework, there's no need for this. That means your study has nothing to do with theoretical contribution. So this is optional depending on your study. Now, step 3 is to identify gaps. This is where you want to explicitly state the gap that your research fills. What new insights does your findings bring to the field of nursing? Now, step 4 is to cite appropriately. You want to always make sure to add citations to your comparisons or your contrasts using relevant literatures. The third common mistake is making a grand sweeping generalizations or claims that are not fully supported by your data, or worse, ignoring the limitations of your study. Now, no research is perfect and supervisors expect you to critically evaluate your own work. Overstating your findings or failing to acknowledge your weaknesses, or the weaknesses of your research rather, undermines your credibility as a researcher. In order to avoid this, you need to demonstrate critical self-awareness and academic integrity in 4 steps. Now, step 1 is to qualify your statements and use cautious language. Instead of saying this is the only study, you can say something like to the best of my knowledge, because you can't possibly exhaust all the literature. Or instead of saying something like this proves, use words like this study suggests, the findings may indicate, the findings may contribute. You need to avoid definitive claims, especially if your study is correlational or has a small sample size. Now, step 2 is to clearly articulate your limitation. Now, this is when you want to dedicate an entire section or a paragraph to your limitation and be honest about your sample size, your methodology, or any unforeseen challenge or circumstance that might have influenced your result interpretation. Now, the third step is to explain the impact of your limitation. Now, this is where you don't just want to list your limitation, you want to explain how they might have affected your findings and interpretation. For example, you can say something like, the small sample size limits the generalizability of these findings. Now, the fourth step is to propose a future research. Now, based on your limitation and some unanswered question, you want to give a specific, actionable direction for future research. This shows that you understand the ongoing nature of scientific inquiry. Mastering Chapter 5 is crucial for demonstrating the true impact of your nursing thesis and securing that final approval. It's where your voice as a researcher truly emerges. But I know that moving from raw data to insightful discussion like this can feel like a monumental leap. So if you are struggling to interpret your findings, connect them to the literatures, and articulate the significance of your study or any chapter of your nursing thesis, then my coaching program is for you. This program is designed to guide you through every step. I help nursing students like you to transform their drafts into a compelling, supervisor-approved research. If you are ready to transform your thesis, email me today at nazainabcoaching@gmail.com to begin a personalized mini audit of your research. This is your opportunity to outline your specific challenges, and I will show you how my coaching program can support your research journey. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and share, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.